What up, Coordination? We have Anna Stone and Hadar Rottenberg, the co-founders of GetCoin, on the pod today to talk about financial inclusion for the world with GoodDollar, which is a basic income protocol that is a people-powered distributed framework to generate, finance, and distribute a daily basic income. Since GoodDollar has launched in September of 2020, it has 450,000 active users. 450,000, that's a lot. 158 million GoodDollar has been delivered, which equates to almost 300K worth of US dollars. So through GoodDollar's tokenomics and integration with different DeFi protocols, GoodDollar is starting to have a social impact in the areas that its community claims GoodDollar every day. And basically, we talk about all the things with pro-social applications, democratic DAOs, Sybil resistance in this episode. And I think that GoodDollar is just an example of a project that's really working on a pro-social application of DeFi, and that's why I wanted to highlight them today. So season 2 of the GreenPilled podcast is all about digital identity and Sybil resistance. We do cover a little bit of that in this episode, and I think that it's a good example for the builders out there of a project that is building something that is deeply pro-social and good for the world and leverages crypto rails. So really proud to present to you the GoodDollar founders on the podcast today. Enjoy.
The Opera crypto browser is the world's first web browser built for the crypto community. With Web3 support and a non-custodial wallet, Opera lets you access DeFi apps quickly and easily. The Opera wallet has buy, sell, and swap features, and of course lets you view your beautiful NFTs, but the browser still lets you use any crypto wallet extension you prefer, giving you the choice and flexibility for the Web3 world. Opera lets you view and manage all of your assets across all the blockchains all at once, and offers seamless multi-chain support between Ethereum, Bitcoin, Polygon, Binance Chain, and other EVMs and Layer 2s. But Opera goes even deeper than that. Opera has a built-in homepage for crypto natives with the Opera Crypto Corner, with price charts, news feeds, NFT updates to make sure you are always on top of your game. And it even has Discord and Telegram integrated natively into the browser. That's crazy. Opera is truly building the battle station for the crypto world. Check out Opera both on mobile with Android and iOS apps, and on desktop too. Immutable X is the Layer 2 platform for crypto gaming. Immutable offers massive scalability with up to 9,000 transactions per second and instant transaction confirmation. No more gas fees, no more waiting around for your transaction to clear. Immutable's zero-knowledge rollup finally unlocks the world of crypto gaming. Immutable X is the only gas-free NFT minting platform with over 26 million NFTs minted, all with zero gas fees. With the power of Immutable, gaming developers don't also need to become smart contract developers. They just need to plug in to Immutable's API and instantly start unlocking the full potential of crypto assets inside of games. This is why world-class companies and projects have decided to deploy on Immutable X, like GameStop, Ember Sword, Planet Quest, Illuvium, TikTok, and many more behind the scenes. So start building your game on Immutable X today at immutable.com.
All right, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks so much for having us.
So glad to have you. So let's tee off with what is GoodDollar?
Sure. So GoodDollar is a crypto universal basic income protocol and DAO that's really designed to solve for not just creating new wealth, but distributing it more fairly to more people who are the most in need of universal basic income, and how that actually helps them pursue their purpose, if you will. Universal basic income, for anyone who's not familiar here, abbreviated as UBI, is the idea of an unconditional income that's granted to people irregardless of your employment status, your age, etc. The idea is that by being a human on this earth, you deserve some sort of basic financial security, and given with that financial security, you will be able to better become the best version of yourself and better pursue your purpose, and through that make the greatest contribution to society at large. And so GoodDollar is a crypto-based protocol approach to that, right? Because everyone loves the idea of UBI for the most part, or many people do, but then it's always followed up with, okay, well, how are you going to do it? How are you going to pay for it? And one of the cool things about crypto and blockchain is that it actually gives us the financial and technological primitives upon which we can actually build something like a global crypto sustainable UBI program at scale, right? And so GoodDollar is our community-driven attempt to do that. Right now, we've been building GoodDollar since around 2019, if you will. And to date, it's, I think, the world's largest universal basic income community in the world. There's a set over 450,000 people around the world who have opened GoodDollar wallets and have claimed GoodDollar. We have around between 50 to 70,000 people logging in using GoodDollar on a daily basis, whether that's to claim the UBI or to use it peer-to-peer or for all other sorts of interesting use cases, which we can get into. The protocol has distributed over $250,000 directly into the hands of people, which, $250,000 is a small figure for DeFi, but not when we think about it in the context of this being money that's generated completely on chain through using DeFi yield protocols, etc. And that's what we've achieved to date, and we're really just at the beginning. So excited to share more with you.
Yeah. Well, over 157 million GoodDollar distributed and 450,000 active members. That's quite impressive for a project that's only been around for a little while.
Yep.
I'm curious how it works. So if I'm a citizen of the world, how do I get GoodDollar? How do I get involved?
So the idea, Kevin, is, the idea that we solved is like, how do you create a system that really is simple for everyone, but that's based off of decentralized blockchain technologies, which we know are sometimes come to a head in terms of the design and the user experience. So first and foremost is anyone in the world can sign up to become a member of the GoodDollar community, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're in Colorado or New York City or in Nairobi or New Delhi, you can sign up and claim GoodDollars. You can do that directly at wallet.gooddollar.org. Now, once you get there, you'll be prompted to create a very simple non-custodial wallet, right? So the idea is for most, particularly when we started building, opening up a MetaMask is not an attractive proposition for someone who is not financial, who's very little technological basis and is anything but the most financially savvy, right? So the idea is creating a very simple UBI wallet that anyone can create an account with using the internet in the way that they're used to using it, which for the most part is Google and Facebook. Right? So when you sign up for GoodDollar, you're actually prompted to create a non-custodial wallet. And within that, there's primarily a few key features: claiming UBI and beginning to use your UBI, right? Send and receive in form of a circular economy, and enabling people to use GoodDollars as a complementary currency in all of its benefits, right? Particularly when we're talking about the world's most financially underserved, who, for all intents and purposes, do not have more money left at the end of the month, right? So the idea is, let's get people into non-custodial wallets very easily, very simply. Let's make sure that once they get there, it's clear what you're supposed to do, which is essentially claim the universal basic income. And really importantly, beginning to connect people to the other members of the GoodDollar community that enable them to really create value around that currency and enable them to actually begin to use that currency in a peer-to-peer way. And so the idea is so anyone can get GoodDollar, right? And within that ecosystem, obviously, your use cases are slightly different depending on where in the world you're from, what geopolitical context that you're living in. But the idea of the global universal basic income economy is that everyone, no matter who you are, has a role to play. And through this global digital connection, we're actually able to create more value together, whether you're rich or whether you're poor, if you will. So just to create color there, if I donate my GoodDollars, right? So I claim every day, but there are people who are crowdfunding in good dollars. And so I personally, to this day, donate my good dollars sitting from New York to people all over the world. And that's an example of how no matter how much money you have, there's a role for you in this economy in terms of growing a universal basic income economy that creates more value, more wealth for the people who need it the most in underserved populations and underserved countries.
Yeah, I just think it's so beautiful to have crypto use cases that are serving the median citizen of the world, someone whose financial life is their job and not their investments. Because I think if crypto is really going to go mainstream, well, 99% of the world doesn't have a ton of investments to put in this highly speculative economy. They're going to want to have use cases that meet them where they're at. So I think that that's really important work.
Definitely, and Hadar, jump in at any moment here, but I just like to say that think of the people who are most in need of decentralized financial services, right? Think of the people, there are these big figures out here. 5.5 billion people remain underbanked. That means underserved by financial services, basic savings, credit, payments, right? Of that, we get to the 1.7 billion unbanked people who have nothing, right? And think about the reality of what it takes to get into crypto. You need to be able to, first of all, have money to speculate with. That's the first thing. You need to have money that you're willing to put on the table. And you need to be, for the most part, you need to have all of the financial credentials required to buy crypto through a centralized exchange, right? And so when we're talking about the underbanked or the unbanked, there's a mismatch, right? Decentralized finance, crypto is not meeting the people who are in the most in need of it, right? And so Good Dollar, in addition to the UBI economy, is designed to actually solve for this problem. How do you get someone who is underbanked and doesn't have a government issued ID and doesn't have a bank account and doesn't have a credit card and isn't going to pass the Binance KYC and doesn't have $100 to throw away on Bitcoin or even $20 to throw away on Bitcoin, right? How do you actually onboard these people into the decentralized financial infrastructure, which is where we believe there's going to be that leapfrog innovation and ultimately going to provide, DeFi is going to be the infrastructure that's going to provide payment, credit, savings products, etc., to people who will never be banked. They will always be unbanked, but they will go through DeFi.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's so important to provide those use cases to those everyday people who don't have money to spend and speculate in these economies. I'm wondering what these people are using Good Dollar for when they get it. So I'm looking at dashboard.gooddollar.org,
Yep.
and it looks like 1,000 Good Dollar is worth about 20 cents. Are they mostly changing it into a stable coin and then using that to pay for goods and services in their lives? Is there a circular economy within the Good Dollar economy? What can you use Good Dollar for once you have it, and what gives the Good Dollar actual value?
Sure. So let's talk first about the Good Dollar token model, and then we'll talk second about the Good Dollar use cases, because I think they're actually the fact that Good Dollar has a token model and it is real money with a real US dollar price, despite its having a relatively small market cap, is critical to how it's used. Okay, so I think we should tackle one by one. The first thing that sets Good Dollar apart with its token model is, like I said, everyone thinks UBI is a good idea, but the question is, how do you actually create a universal basic income model that is inherently sustainable and scalable and supports itself? And for this, the team of people who brainstormed and worked on the Good Dollar model, we were very much inspired by the principles of impact investing, right? How can we actually use tokenomics to create an asset that is a wealth distribution mechanism in and of itself? Okay, a wealth creation and distribution mechanism in and of itself. And so the principles that we used in terms of designing the basic income economy is that, one, it needs to be liquid at any price, right? So for that, we deployed some of the most well-known DeFi primitives. We created an automated market maker for a reserve-based currency. Okay, so GoodDollar is a reserve-based currency. There are stable coins, and one day there will be more coins in the reserve. And as as money enters the reserve, new GoodDollars are created. This means that no matter what, GoodDollars can always be sold back to the reserve. It is always liquid. Okay, this is very, very important. Second thing that we asked ourselves is, how do we create something that's stable enough to be used as a medium of exchange, right? So no one wants to be, we've all heard the story of the guy who spent 10,000 Bitcoins on pizza. No one wants to be that guy. No one wants to create the currency or be the person who's doing the commerce in the token that ultimately has that big of a fluctuation, right? So we wanted something that was actually stable enough that our members and our users would be comfortable using it as a medium of exchange. You're not worried that you're going to miss the next big pump and pump, right? So an anti-pump and dump token, right? And the third element here, though, was, again, if we wanted to build something sustainable, the token itself would need to be an asset that is attractive, okay? Attractive not just for the UBI recipients to hold, but attractive for anyone to hold because of the nature of it being a wealth creation and wealth distribution asset, right? And so we knew it was important that the token would appreciate very gradually, very slowly over time in order to do that. So we launched GoodDollar, and I'd like to give a shout out here to Tomer Bariach, who is me and Hadar's partner, who worked with us to create this model. This is really a lot of his work, if you will. And so with that, we created the token model, which is based off of, we wrap other yield protocols or other sources of funds for DeFi. And as money is created, that money adds to the reserve and mints new GoodDollars. And GoodDollar, as a result, since we launched the token, has appreciated very, very steadily, very, very stably, around 76%, right? So, Kevin, to your point that kicked off this question, if you claim every day for a week, you get approximately $20 worth of GoodDollars today. What's really interesting and important to think about, though, is, first of all, where that money is going, to which populations, right? And really, what is the aggregate impact of that money, not just on day one or week one or month one, but over years and at scale with hundreds of thousands or millions of people. Okay, so that's a bit about the token model. Hadar, do you have anything else to add there?
Sure. So I think that the model for GoodDollar from the beginning, it was an effort and of different of different schools of thought that came together and trying to create something that was designed to be a currency from the beginning, not just a token like most projects, but something that can actually be a currency. So yeah, Tomer came from his background; he's in local currencies, and Yoni Asia, he's from capital markets, and I was bringing more of the, I guess, the modern monetary theory of how money should work and how can we. So the main thing we thought about is how can we bootstrap something that will actually might someday be a currency for the internet and a currency for the people. Something that's really a public good that's governed by the people that use it, and that is freely available for everyone, and everyone can have access to it, and it's not excluded.
Yeah. What are the top countries or geographic populations that you see claiming good dollar? What are the most active regions?
So, on the whole, the most, the leading countries have flip flopped a bit from launch till date. But I'll tell you, Nigeria, Vietnam, Brazil, India, Indonesia, Argentina, Venezuela, at one point Colombia had a very active population. For the most part, they're places that have, very high degree of cell phone connectivity, relatively high degree of smartphone penetration, and a lack of stable fiat currency and lack of economic opportunities, right? So
Hmm.
this was an idea that we discussed. Reaching these populations was part of the original vision of GoodDollar, if you will. And so it's also part of the design decisions that we made behind a daily universal basic income distribution, right? So the idea is that you're logging into your GoodDollar wallet and you're claiming it because you really need it or have a use for it, right? So that's the country that we're popular in, the countries where the users are returning day and day again and really claiming their good dollars, beginning to use their good dollars, is the exact markets where we hope to see it flow to.
Wow. I mean, I think that just doing some quick math here. But by the way, if you go to dashboard.gooddollar.org, I'm looking at the stats on another monitor over here, and just thinking about the stats that you just gave me. If you claim every day for a week, that's about $20 US dollars, I think you said. And so 20 times 50 is about
20
a thousand
cents, 20
dollars.
cents. So I think
Oh, 20 cents.
20 cents.
Okay.
So I think this is if you're a user, but I think this is where things do get really interesting, is starting to think of the aggregate impact, Kevin. Like, think about someone who I don't want to reveal too much about the personal stories of members in our community, but needless to say, like,
Sure.
most of the people in our community are members who are really actively looking for the UBI are people who don't have other sources of passive income. That they're very smart, they're very talented, but they're not investors, okay? And they don't have other sources of passive income. So think about a situation, even just like a savings group, which is, as you know, a very popular way for people to access credit and build wealth in many underserved populations, right? Typically, these are groups of 20 people that come together and actually pool their funds so that in the case of an emergency, there is $10 to take a loan, right? There are $30 to pay school fees, etc. When we think about that with the good dollar context, each user is getting around 21 cents a week in passive income. That's almost $1 a month. Okay, now multiply that by 20 friends. You bring 20 friends together. That means if you're claiming every single day, by the end of that month, you have almost $20 collectively as a group, okay, that otherwise you had no access to, okay?
Right.
Now think about that over the course of a year. Now think about what you can do with those funds, which are passive income that you have above and beyond the money that you make in your salary, whatever it may be. And you actually can start to experiment with that. You actually can use that to begin to supply liquidity in decentralized finance. You can use that to create a track record to start to access more credit as a group, etc. So the possibilities, and we see people doing this, for the record, like in the Good Dollar Philippines, there's, we have someone who's actually spearheading like a savings group using Good Dollar and getting people to collectively save together, etc. And like I said, we're at the beginning of our journey. So we really fundamentally believe that as DeFi matures and the financial instruments, become less degenerate and more focused off of these actual use cases of people who need credit, savings, etc., that Good Dollar is going to be a very, very powerful on-ramp for those populations. But more than a powerful on-ramp, give them a meaningful amount of money that enables them to learn by doing and really kickstart their financial empowerment journey, right? Really kickstart that journey. And that's, I mean, for me and Hadar and the whole community and everyone who's worked on this project, I can tell you that's been probably one of the most exciting and meaningful things for us, is seeing people actually going from being UBI recipients to actually, through months and years of working with GoodDollar, becoming active DeFi users, right? People who then take their GoodDollars and put them in liquidity pools and help to facilitate cash out and open up micro businesses for cell phone minutes for GoodDollars, and actually are using the funds to support this larger decentralized finance empowerment journey. It's really remarkable to see, truly.
CoinShift is a leading treasury management and infrastructure platform for DAOs and crypto businesses who need to manage their treasury operations. Every crypto org needs to manage their treasury, and CoinShift offers a simple, flexible, and efficient multi-chain treasury management platform built on top of the extremely secure Gnosis Safe. With CoinShift, your organization can go from primitive single-chain treasuries to expressive, flexible, multi-chain features such as global user management, global contracts, proposal management, and many other features that can be shared across an entire organization. CoinShift layers on powerful treasury management tools on top of the proven security of Gnosis Safe, allowing users to save time and reduce operational burdens and gas costs. CoinShift even has data tools like account reporting across the 7 chains on which it operates. Used by industry powerhouses such as Uniswap Grants, Balancer, Consensus, and Messari, CoinShift is speeding up the coordination and efficiency of the organizations that use it. In DeFi, you have to keep up with the frontier, and CoinShift makes that easy. So sign up at coinshift.xyz/bankless. ReFi summer has arrived, and Celo is here for it. Celo is the layer 1 blockchain for the regenerative finance movement. It's fast, planet positive, and built for the real world. Celo has committed towards producing a sustainable future from the very beginning, and is the world's first carbon negative, EVM compatible layer 1 blockchain. Celo has become much more than a technology, a currency, a community, or even just a layer 1. Celo is a movement to create conditions of prosperity for everyone. You can soon engage with all of this via green asset Uniswap pools on Celo, benefiting reforestation and other regenerative products through the Toucan protocol, Moss, and more. ReFi is also about the health of communities, and Resource Network is creating bankless infrastructure for circular trade and mutual credit networks to benefit small businesses and local economies, all on Celo. Follow along on Twitter to learn more about how Celo is accelerating ReFi summer for a positive impact on people, communities, and the planet. If you're attending ECC, visit the Celo Saloon to learn about what's happening on the front lines of ReFi from industry experts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that's most incredible is that in some of these communities, even a dollar here and there goes a long way. And then you multiply that times many people and over time. And you're saying that's how the financial empowerment in some of these communities really starts.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing that I'll just throw in there is that I think one of the amazing things we've seen about working with a Web3 infrastructure is that the GoodDollar ecosystem really disrupts this donor beneficiary paradigm, right? So I'll explain what I mean by that, which is that there are a lot of UBI experiments and a lot of projects that are focused basically on well, let's see what happens if we give free money to people, and they're donation based, and they all basically result in the same response, which is that giving money to people improves people's lives, right? That's the result that comes up time and time again. But with GoodDollar, what we see is that even giving people money in these really small amounts has the potential to create life-saving or life-changing impact, because the way that the Web3 infrastructure is designed is that people don't need our permission in order to do something with GoodDollar, if that makes sense. So the users themselves, the members themselves, once they get it, once they have that aha moment, they are able to then go use this GoodDollar money as a tool that enables them to do the stuff that they want to do and use the community that's been created as their ecosystem. So for example, we have many examples of students who have actually crowdfunded to pay their tuition bills from the GoodDollar community. Okay, we have examples of donations and causes, like positive causes, that are also crowdfunding directly from the community. We actually there's a community initiative up there right now called Crypto for Her, which is all women leaders from Colombia, Brazil, I think we have Turkey there, we have South Africa there, etc. Women who have opened up wallets for their community groups and are openly crowdfunding from other members of the community. They don't need us. They don't need us. They're using this UBI infrastructure to use it for their own goods. The micro entrepreneurs that have opened GoodDollar businesses, primarily around mobile minutes and cash out, they don't need us, right? They're just using the UBI system and the openness of it and the fact that it's inherently without middlemen, right? That it's truly decentralized to access it and build and value hack on top of it. And this is exactly the goal of a UBI economy, is to give people some amount of funds that enable them to really create their own opportunities. And it's happening in a truly digital global context.
Yeah, so in this context, we also have a simulator that we built that shows what's the potential of the good dollar economy once we reach larger market caps. So this is what we're doing right now, with a very small market cap. But our vision and our dreams and hopes is that we are able through the DeFi community to reach a much larger market cap, and to be able to distribute much more meaningful UBI to people. But not only that, we are hoping that also in the near future, because today the UBI is distributed to a lot of people, so everybody gets a small amount. So definitely partnering with, like Anna mentioned, saving circles can make a big difference. But also taking some of the UBI that we generate and direct it to specific causes. It could be building specific public goods. It could be funding local UBI, for local communities, that would give them a larger amount of UBI that would enable them to do more meaningful things and much more quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to see this journey of community members of GoodDollar becoming leaders in the community, whether that's creating marketplaces or creating jobs through the DAO, or just being involved in local circular economies based off of GoodDollar.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the fundamental to what we're trying to actually do, is to set up we're setting up a money infrastructure, right? We're setting up a money infrastructure. I know, Kevin, one of the things that you talk a lot about is this idea of the Legos, right? The money Legos. And GoodDollar is actually, it's one part of the money Legos, which is actually focused off of giving people the initial funds to be able to explore the world of decentralized finance in a meaningful way, while also, giving money as a tool that enables them to really create more commerce, create more value, create more GDP within this own global digital economy.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a distribution mechanism that onboards people into the digital economy. I have some questions as a technologist next, but I'm not sure if there's anything else to say about the social or economic layers before we get into that.
Let's get into the technology. I mean, why not? The social and the economics, the social and the cultural stuff is, I think, one thing I will say to leaders, to your podcast and to your audience in particular, is that I think probably, like Hadar and I, you probably have a leadership of people who are really attracted to blockchain and working in this space because of its transformational and revolutionary potential in terms of building a better money and a better economic paradigm, right? That's what attracted me. That's what attracted Hadar. That's what attracted all of the team of people who work on GoodDollar, is really a sound foundational belief that not only is that like that is the reason to work in DeFi for me. Okay. And I've worked in DeFi before doing this. And I know for myself personally, the reason to build these solutions is actually to tackle the big social questions, right? And so the one thing that I will say to your audience is that it's been very, for me personally, it's hard to sometimes stay motivated because it's so obvious that the vast majority of this space is not actually focused on solving those problems and not actually focused on solving those questions. And so the last thing that I would say about the social and the cultural element is that at GoodDollar, we have the good pleasure of actually seeing it happen rather than just thinking about the art of what's possible, right? And so when you actually see people around the world who make less than $5,000 a year begin to take crypto and hack value into it and use it peer-to-peer and use it to crowdfund for themselves and use it to actually learn about the larger investing ecosystem within DeFi and what are the risks and the protections and the opportunities. It is happening. It is happening. It's not something that one day will happen. It is happening today. People are onboarding. People are using the money. They're using the money to improve their lives. And so I think it's very important to say to this audience that we are no longer living in the art of the potential or what's possible for blockchain and financial inclusion. It is happening.
Right.
It's happening on a small scale, but it's happening. And so to continue to have the faith that there are builders and projects out there that are like really, really tackling these questions and people on the ground who are embracing the products and solutions, and they are the ones that are running with it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that big plus one, I think that one of the things that one of the criticisms I've seen of GreenPill and this whole movement has been like great theory, but is it actually happening? And I just want to shout it from the rooftops that it is happening. We are creating these pro-social applications, and I think that you should give yourself a little bit more credit than just saying it's happening on a small scale, because I see the counter on the website, and 450K active members is nothing to sneeze at. So I mean, that's not world scale, but that's local scale. That's city level scale.
Yep.
So it is happening at some amount of scale.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's easy to get discouraged because I think it's also important that we should admit that 99% of the builders and the capital in this space are not looking to solve impact problems, and that's the reality within which we're operating. And we can talk about that all day, I'm sure, right?
Well, yeah, and so the GreenPill audience is mostly people who are building and want to build these pro-social applications and want to create this Schelling point for the hopeful. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk about the design of this system on the second half of the episode, the back nine, if you will. And the first question I have is, season 2 of GreenPill podcast is all about digital identity and Sybil resistance. Sybil attacks are basically making up multiple accounts in order to get more rewards from the system. How does GoodDollar approach Sybil resistance? If I'm someone who's making 20 cents, 21 cents in GoodDollar every week by claiming every day, why wouldn't I just make up multiple accounts in order to get, I don't know, $20 by having 100 fake accounts every week?
Yeah. So, well, we researched that a lot before we started, because of course that besides the money question, there was the identity question. Today, eventually, we decided we were going to go with a simple solution because we wanted to focus on UBI. So what we chose is to do a face verification. It's the system that we built does anonymized face verification. So basically, a user has to. We are using a service that was donated to us by FaceTech, and the user has to prove liveness, that he's a live human being, and then we take the facial features and we check that they don't already exist in the database. Now, we don't keep any connection. It's anonymized in the sense that we don't keep any connection between the user details and the facial features. So only the user has the key or like the ID of his facial features in our database. right? It's an ID derived from his private key, and only in case he wants to delete his account, then he can then request to delete his details, sending us his unique ID, and then we delete it. But basically, it's a big data set of facial features, facial vectors
Mm,
that we just check if the face already exists there or not.
right.
Um, so I can go more into the past experiments that we did, if that's
Right.
relevant. But basically, we try different methods. But we wanted to do something that's going to be easily scalable, right?
Yeah.
I think that our choices, like the choices that we made, were first and foremost to do something that's pragmatic and practical, rather
Hmm.
than being idealists, um, and
Right.
building something that can scale both in terms of our non-custodial wallet, right? So we did want to be non-custodial, but we didn't want our users, to use those 12 word seed phrases and back them up and so on. That's why we went with social logins. Uh, Again, a service that's provided to us by Web3 Auth. I think we were probably one of their first customers, and also with the identity. And we see that in the numbers that we have, right? GoodDollar is like
Yeah.
one of the top 5 dApps by daily active users. Um, so we were happy that it works and people are able to easily onboard into Web3.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, digital identity is just such a core part of moving from these one token, one vote systems to one human, one vote systems. And that's
Right.
why we've been focused. It's such a technocratic rabbit hole, but it's just so important if we want to build these more pro social applications that benefit people,
Yes,
not just capital. And
definitely.
so what I heard from you is biometric identity, sort of with facial identity, and then like presence type of stuff. And then you have to claim every day. And, I think that the other thing that I heard there was pragmatism over dogmatism. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Good enough Sybil resistance was kind of the goal there. Is that a decent summary?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we
Yeah.
looked to in the beginning. Of course, we were very in close touch with Adam from Bright ID. We had lots of brainstorming with them. We really like the idea of social identity, right? That's something that hopefully we will have in the future, things that are more based on your close community, rather than computers checking
Right.
your biometrics. And I hope that those tools will mature in the near future, because also there's even for facial verification there are scalability limits.
Right. Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think that, if we can all push forward this civil resistance of the ecosystem together, that would be great. And combining web of trust with biometric, with presence based things, as long as it's done in a privacy preserving way, is kind of one of the goals that Gitcoin DAO has as well. The other technical challenge I wanted to know about is, what are you all doing for scalability of transactions? So you're claiming a couple cents per day. Are you all using a layer two? Are you all using a side chain? How are we making sure that gas fees don't eat up the transactions of the system?
Right. Um, yeah. So that was also one of the key challenges when we started. Basically, I started at GoodDollar, I think, like 4 years ago, and we launched the official product 2 years ago. So in the beginning, a large part of it was, researching and how are we going to do that on scale, because it was obvious that Ethereum wasn't a possibility, and back then there weren't a lot of options. Luckily, back then we met with the team of the Fuse Network, which is a spin-off from Colu, that were social tokens ICO back then, and they started a layer two, or I guess They started an EVM-based blockchain that was also focused, that was also focused for social tokens and communities to create their own tokens. So we went with that, even though our main DeFi protocol sits on Ethereum. That was also, I guess, sort of a design choice to have the most of the DeFi on a more secure system. And then we bridge over the good dollars, we bridge them over to the Fuse network where our users can claim. And because on most layer 2 networks, then, or it's not exactly layer 2, I guess, nowadays, but back then that was what we meant when we said layer 2. So the gas fees are very, very cheap, and we actually subsidize those fees for our users. So they also don't need to think about gas, right? So we have this smart contract faucet, which uses the user identity actually to prevent abuse. So you can use that smart contract if you're whitelisted. If you verified your identity, you can use it a certain amount of times a day or a week, and our wallet does that on the background for you, so you're not even aware that you're paying gas fees.
Got it. Yeah, I think that both your approach to Sybil resistance and your approach to scaling the transactions might be useful to other builders who are building these pro-social applications. So thanks for the technical rabbit hole on that. Is there anything else to say about the technology or the design as we start to move towards wrapping in the next few minutes?
Sure. So what you said before about identity moving from one token, one vote to one person, one vote, I think that's probably the most important things nowadays in Web3, because a lot of projects, or there's a lot of talk about public goods, but actually, and many projects call themselves public good, but though they are controlled by one token, one vote, which is basically duplicating our current economic system, right? That doesn't take into account the needs or the wants of the many. And even though I'm not so sure that a one person, one vote is the best voting system, things like quadratic voting can probably be better for some things. But definitely we need to start moving into systems that are more democratic, because in those systems, most of the problems that we are trying to solve don't exist. For example, you can think of, I like to take the example of cooperatives that are, democratically owned businesses. In those kinds of businesses, you have a lot less, you have much more diversity, right? For example, if you take the CEOs of community banks, you have like around 50% women over there. Also in the community that I live, that we have democratic governance, then the leaders that we choose, the people that we choose for key positions, it's like 50-50. So it really makes a difference and give the power to the people. And when we designed the governance so GoodDollar is also a DAO, right? And when we designed that, we also took the more pragmatic way, I guess. I was in that case, I was the idealist, and I said, "Oh, let's try to do it complete democracy." I think that what's the name of the other UBI protocol? I think they are going that way. What's the name of the protocol of Santi?
Proof of humanity, yeah.
Yeah, Proof of Humanity. So I think they are trying to do one person, one vote. So for us, what we did is we created the Good token, which is the governance token, and that token is non-transferable. So you can just buy governance, which is also something that's important. And we decided that we are going to, in the beginning, that we are going to distribute it. 50% will go to the people that claim, and the other 50% would go for people that support the protocol, that stake in the protocol, and so on.
Great, thanks so much. Anything that I didn't ask you all that you want to say before we wrap?
Sure. So first and foremost, we'd like to take the opportunity to thank you and the Gitcoin community for having us on. It's a real pleasure to see technology for the sake of public goods become such a significant topic of mainstream conversation in the crypto industry. And that's really thanks to a lot of the advocacy and work that you've done, Kevin, and the team at Gitcoin. As you guys know, GoodDollar is 100% open source project. So everything that we develop, we release on GitHub, and we intend for people to use as a public good. So UBI, crypto UBI is a true public good for the people to use. As such, we have a few amazing change makers that are actually raising grants for their own UBI projects and initiatives as part of the active GR15 that's going on right now. So we actually have some entrepreneurs that are actually developing their own deployments of UBI and are fundraising built on the GoodDollar infrastructure and actually fundraising through Gitcoin to support those projects. So one amazing change maker working out of South Africa, she has a UBI project called Rightful Share that's all about distributing crypto UBI in a rural area of South Africa. She's currently raising funds as part of Gitcoin 15. Please go support her. We also have a number of really interesting entrepreneurs who are looking for small micro grants around $500 to $1,000 to actually build big businesses based off of the GoodDollar code and the GoodDollar system. So make sure that you check them out. It's a really interesting, there's some really great change makers and great examples of crypto being used in the real world to actually help people, and the real power of actually releasing open source technology that's meant for people to take and use and adopt as their own. Of course, we're always looking for more people to join the community and support the project. The best way to get started is to go to gooddollar.org, get signed up, use a wallet, sign up for a wallet, get whitelisted to start claiming good dollars, and then you're automatically a member of our community. And the best place to stay in touch with all of the incredible change makers that are doing good with GoodDollar all over the world is our Twitter feed, so GoodDollar.org. You will see not just what's going on with the protocol and the DAO and the project, but also the thousands and thousands of people from every country all over the world who are learning about crypto and using GoodDollar and experimenting and really trying to hack value into figuring out how do we use crypto to build a better financial future for ourselves, our family, our community. And it's really beautiful to see, beautiful, inspiring to see. We are still just getting started. So if you are interested in what we're doing and have skills to contribute, technical, non-technical, organizational, operational, DAO experts, what have you, we'd love, love, love to have you join our mission. GoodDollar is the result of the good work and intentions of thousands and thousands of people, and we'd love to have you with us. So thank you again for having us on the show and giving us the space to tell our story. And hopefully this is just the beginning of our work with GreenPilled in the Gitcoin community as well.
Beautiful. We'll put some links in the show notes to those resources as well. And I think this episode will air around the time Gitcoin Grants Round 15 is happening. So call to action, contribute to the Gitcoin Grants for a GoodDollar ecosystem for the audience as well. All right. Well, this has been a great episode. I think that your story is really inspiring for the builders out there. So thanks so much for attending the GreenPilled podcast.
Thank you very much.